President of the Whole Fifth Grade by Sherri Winston. Chapter 4. Victoria Woodhull for U.S. President. Tuesday, the next day, I awoke before my alarm went off. My room was on the second floor overlooking the backyard. A big oak tree with fat green leaves reached toward my window, as though it were yawning. I stretched my limbs like the tree. Today was going to be a great, awesome even. After I brushed my teeth and washed my face, I sat on my bed. I held Pig Pig in my lap. Pig Pig was the huge pig ceramic piggy bank Grandpa gave me for Christmas when I was 5. Sure, I had money in the bank where Sarah's mom worked. But I kept money in Pig Pig too. Lots of quarters and dimes and pennies. I liked to hear my change rattle in Pig Pig's big ol' pink belly. And every morning I gave Pig Pig a little shake, for good luck. Something told me I was going to need a double shake today, and I was right. At lunchtime in the cafeteria, our lunch choices were between Barfalicious meatloaf or totally repugnant mac and cheese. Our 4th grade teacher was a beast about vocabulary words. I loved learning words like repugnant. It sounds like what it means. Truly disgusting. I saw a kid from another 5th grade class fake sticking his finger down his throat and pretending to gag. Another girl from my art class whispered, "My father works for the health department. I wish he could come here and shut this place down. We deserve better choices." I'd seen enough. Grabbing an apple and a carton of milk, I rushed toward our usual table. The 3 kids blocked my path. It was Annie Darling, the school's most well-known journalist, and her cameraman, a nerdy boy who didn't talk. Following them was a semi-creepy girl I'd known since kindergarten named Tabitha Handy. Annie Darling said, "The whole school is talking about it. Care to comment?" She held her notebook at the ready. I pretended not to know what she meant. The new girl, Jasmine Moon. She really wants in on the election. And even though she's only been here a day, she's already getting lots of attention. Then Tabitha Handy, who'd been basically trying to be just like me since kindergarten, freaked me out when she said, "I'm going to work on Jasmine Moon's campaign." Huh? She said it as if wondering on Jasmine Moon's campaign was like the coolest thing ever. Good grief. In kindergarten, Tabitha sat right next to me. If I sipped from my milk carton, so did she. If I drew with a red crayon, so did she. 1st grade was no different. By 2nd grade, she was going around telling people her name was really Brianna Justice too. Come on, people. Now, after years of trying to be just like me, even Tabitha Handy was in total daze over the new girl. Foolishness. I pushed past Tabitha, Annie Darling, and Nerdy Boy. I tried not to shudder as I slid into my seat at the lunchroom table. A true leader doesn't let her fear show, right? And the truth was, the whole competition for president thing was making my insides shake. Bex slid into the seat next to mine. Lauren and Sarah sat across from us. Lauren was stretching her arms with her fingers locked together. She looked as if she were getting ready for a karate match. Bex took 2 long blasts from her asthma inhaler. Her round cheeks were pinkish, and she looked excited. She said, "Hey guys, guess what?" And just like Bex, before any of us could say a word, she kept on talking. "I saw Jeremy Ross earlier. He said his father works for a publishing company, and he'd heard about my summer trip to Brazil." Jeremy, not his dad. Not his dad. Anyway, Jeremy said that his dad's company pays good money for well-written stories by kids. So I should write about my trip. But he said to write like it's fiction, as if it happened to someone else, like him. Jeremy, not his dad. Jeremy says if I write it, he'll make sure his dad reads it. She let out a big exhale and sat back, her face shining with excitement. Poor Bex. "You're kidding, right?" Lauren said and rolled her eyes. Sarah just shook her head. "What?" said Bex. I draped my arms across her shoulder. "Bex, Jeremy's dad doesn't work for any publisher person. He's a fireman. Remember in 3rd grade when he came in on career day?" "Then why?" Lauren cut her off before Bex could finish her question. "Because Jeremy is in Mrs. Bigelow's class, and that's the assignment she made when school first started. Jeremy probably blew it off, and now he's desperate. He just wants you to do his homework," I said. "You really think so?" she asked. I nodded. Bex was like that. She was the nicest, sweetest person in the world. But sometimes, I'd hate to think that might happen to her if she didn't have us watching her back. Sarah said, "Okay, now that's settled. We really need to talk about this whole Jasmine Moon thing." "She seemed nice on the playground," said Bex. "Rebecca, don't be a doof. She's totally trying to steal the election from Brianna," Lauren said. Sarah squinted and rubbed her forehead for a second, then said, "I'm worried. You should have been the easy favorite to be president of Mrs. Nutmeg's class. But now that it's between all the 5th grades, and we have that new girl, and the word is that her dad is some kind of coach or something for the Pistons, none of us wanted to say anything after that." Sarah was right. Having a dad on the coaching staff for the Detroit Pistons was like being royalty. Girls would look up to her and guys would be in awe. After a few seconds, Sarah smiled. "What?" I asked. Sarah raised her milk carton and said, "What are we worried about? We're the girls of Woodhull Society." Sarah was right. We all smiled. Sarah's mom worked for a bank and helped us keep up with our own bank accounts so we could save our money. When we first started, she told us we needed a name for our group. For a while, we didn't know what to call ourselves. Then Mom and Aunt Tina took us to the museum and we saw an exhibit about great women. One woman we learned about was Victoria Woodhull. She was once called the Queen of Finance. And she was the first woman to run for president. Mom told us she would be the perfect role model for our money-saving club. With our milk and juice cartons held high in the cafeteria, we cheered, "To the girls of Woodland Society." I got chills. Of course, I was a Woodhull girl. It was like an omen. Victoria Woodhull was the first woman to run for president of the United States, and she was smart about making and saving money. I wasn't the first girl to run for president at our school, but I could wind up being the first girl, the first kid ever to be president of the whole school, and not just one class. And Rich, too. Don't forget Rich. Lauren nodded and looked at me. "It will be just like we planned. First, you will become president of the whole 5th grade and the whole school. We didn't spend all summer listening to you talk about the election and all that for nothing. You will be president. Then you will get your own cupcake cooking show and be a millionaire. Hey, I like the way that sounded, I said to Lauren. And one day you are going to be famous Hollywood stunt woman and then have your own TV show. Rebecca raised her milk carton to Sarah. You're going to be an Olympic horse rider and a millionaire businesswoman. We turned to Bex. And if we can keep you away from scammers like Jeremy Ross, you'll be a totally famous author. And we all said together, be a millionaire. We laughed and said cheers, bumping our milk cartons together. Rebecca's round cheeks turned a brighter shade of pink after she took another pull on her inhaler. She was waving her hand like she wanted to be called on in class or something. For goodness sake, Bex, stop raising your hand. Lauren said with a laugh, Okay, can I just give Brianna one piece of advice? You know, she didn't wait for anybody to answer her, right? Brianna, okay, you know we love you, but please, can you promise that you won't get too carried away with the election? Sarah was nodding her head, her upturned brown eyes sparkling. She is right, you know. You do get caught up. Lauren finished the statement. I batted my eyes dramatically. Who? Me? I carried away. Carried away? Crazy for world domination? They all said at once, then followed it up with a hearty wah ha 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 ha. We all burst out laughing. Okay, so sometimes I did get so excited about stuff that, well, I couldn't think about anything else. But who could blame me if that happened this time? We're talking about being president of the whole 5th grade, people. We were still laughing and playing around when a shadowy movement caught my attention. The next thing I knew was yelling, Whoa! There's a horse in my soup!